Honored to be here. There's a lot of symbolic power in me reading these poems tonight on the full moon in Sagittarius here at the Emerlad Tablet. So I was introduced to Yeats formally in class I took last fall semester, but I grew up in Berkeley, sort of nestled between the woods and the sea, and spent much of my childhood at Tilden Park and at the marina, and reading mythology and various things like that. And I was chatting with a friend once, and he was like, "Oh, you should read Yeats." And so I was browsing in a bookstore, so I got this book along with his book called A Vision, which are the collected writings of the sort of system that he created for his poetry from the automatic writings of his wife. And so the paper I wrote was on the Second Coming, and so in the writing of that paper, I got more familiar with Yeats' writing, and what I found in it were four things that I had had found in myself growing up. I wrote them down because I couldn't really remember. I have a bad memory sometimes, so I like to keep little notes of things. So they are the sentience of nature and history, and sort of how they manifest in the course of human development. The permeable veil that exists between the worlds, the phenomenon of being visited upon or called away by sort of inhabitants of an unseen other world, and memory, experience, and desire overlaid with an arcane phantasmagoria. So I'm going to read four of his, four of mine. They're all mostly short lyrical pieces, so we'll do that for you. So I'll do my best with the Gaelic names. Also, I found that in reading both silently and out loud English poetry and from other countries that speak English, it's different. So, but this is the first poem I read of Yeats. I sort of opened the book, and the poem was sort of in front of me, and this is one of my favorite poems ever. So, this is the hosting of the She. The host is riding from Knocknarea, and over the grave of Pooth Nabar, cruelty tossing his burning hair, and knave calling away, come away. Empty your heart of its mortal dream. The winds awaken, the leaves whirl round, our cheeks are pale, our hair is unbound, our breasts are heaving, our eyes are agleam, our arms are waving, our lips are apart, and if any gaze on our rushing band, we come between him and the deed of his hand. We come between him and the hope of his heart. The host is rushing twixt night and day. And where's our hope or deed is fair, cruelty tossing his burning hair, and knave calling away, come away. He mourns for the change that has come upon him and his beloved, and longs for the end of the world. Okay. Do you not hear me calling, white deer with no horns? I have been changed to a hound with one red ear. I have been in the path of stones in the wood of thorns. For somebody hid hatred and hope and desire and fear under my feet that they follow you night and day. A man with a hazel wand came without sound. He changed me suddenly. I was looking another way. And now my calling is but the calling of a hound. And time and birth and change are hurrying by. I would that the boar without bristles had come from the west and had rooted the sun and moon and stars out of the sky and lay in the darkness grunting and turning to his rest. Leda and the Swan. A sudden blow, the great wings beating still above the staggering girl, her thighs caressed by the dark webs, her nape caught in his bill. He holds her helpless breast upon his breast. How can those terrified, vague fingers push the feathered glory from her loosening thighs? And how can body, laid in that white rush, but feel the strange heart beating where it lies? A shudder in the loins engenders there the broken wall, the burning roof and tower, and Agamemnon dead, being so caught up, so mastered by the brute blood of the air, that she put on his knowledge with his power before the indifferent beak could let her drop. sailing to Byzantium. That is no country for old men. The young in one another's arms, birds in the trees, those dying generations at their song, the salmon falls, the mackerel crowded seas, fish, flesh, or fowl commend all summer long what is begotten, born, and dies. Caught in that sensual music, all neglect monuments of unaging intellect. An aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick, unless soul clap its hands and sing, and louder sing for every tatter in its mortal dress. Nor is there singing school, but studying monuments of its own magnificence, and therefore I have sailed the seas and come to the holy city of Byzantium. O sages standing in God's holy fire, as in the gold mosaic of a wall, come from the holy fire, burn in the gyre, and be the singing masters of my soul. Consume my heart away, sick with desire, and fasten to a dying animal it knows not what it is, and gather me into the artifice of eternity. Once out of nature I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmiths make of hammered gold and gold enameling to keep a drowsy emperor awake, or set upon a golden bough to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium of what is past, or passing, or to come. So this is Through the Valley Lamenting. So these are mine now. I have heard tales of those among the dead, barred passage through one gate or the other, which linger on and brood where flesh has dimmed. One such came to me, his body still worn, arriving at boyhood's end in early spring. All his form shone as through a brazen sheen, my limbs stiff branches, a haven for bees, pulse rushing then, and I alive like he. I despaired and could not follow or leave. Out he lured me to the caves through the reeds. He could not mean to flower then with me in that wood, merely tease a viper's teeth. So soft his hands placed in both my pockets. I know now death came then for him and I, for all my blood ran, my chest iron locked. Next to me he sat untouched without speech. The maddened hive quickened, roused from beneath, late boyhood ended in early spring. Down that wordless shaft, leaning towards me, terrible yearning in the caves through the reeds. At the harbor pleading. Oh, will you not stay with me that the welling tides are calling? Must you leave our bed of furs to incline in coral arms beneath the waves, where soft songs weep, drifting in the brine, and not so shy maidens with pearled eyes that gleam our dressing gowns of eglantine? You swore to me the day the bronze bells delivered me before the altar, the anointed veil lifted, the glistening chapel bright, but now the bands of house and blood are broken, ruptured, wandering at the shore, for there you have heard what all men hear, murmuring on the shore. So I have two more. This next one is a sestina I wrote. I mean, it's kind of a sestina. I sort of, I have this habit of mutating forms. So this is called Kume. Kume is, in the Aeneid, Kume is the area where Aeneas meets the Sibyl, the prophetess, and Avernus is the lake through which she goes into the underworld. So bear with me. Lay my bones on the shores of Kume, where the Sibyl in procession from yew groves will march slow, guiding my shade below, chiming chants that fume and limn Avernus. Descending to Lethe's baptismal court, there I will gain new fellowship and slumber. If I cross Styx, lighting on oblivion's dreamless slumber, sages deign to know. Ravens, owls of Kume enclose their gaze with brooding wings, hold court, giving counsel arcane from boughs of yew. Rupture, silent, guardians of Avernus, receive now my quintessence powers below. Each realm I would traverse, low hills of limbo, fields of asphodel far below abandoned western skies goldening before the eventide beckons to slumber beast and bird. Nevermore stirring to haunt silver hours, rippling the surface of Avernus to soft grievance unresolved, or pine bereaved through the fogs of Kume, with the bard of Cahulan and his druid band carving wands of yew. In that long Elysian summer I will recline forever in wisdom's court. Off send my beer, brilliant ablaze across translucent seas of celestial ports, to dock at Peter's marbled rows and azurite doors, the leaden gate opening below, the bright realms ethereal opening above the gate cast in gold, where the hymnals you hear threat to sunder the mortal shell, but to eternal ghosts brings blissful slumber. Or, if the deep abysmal mouth of the earth yawns to engulf me underneath sibylline Cumae, gladly I would pass from my petty dreams towards truer sight through the bogs of Avernus. Did not Aeneas, passing between Ilium and Rome's 7 hills, breach the fathoms of Avernus, or thrice torn Orpheus when he suffused in song the radiant gloom of Proserpine's court? With such beacon light I would chart my passage from the blown leaves of Cumae to the rivers irrigating the pastures of the congregate dead, and below the iron-bound adamantine gates of opulent Pluto, half guarded by Cerberus slumbering, I would pass, beyond the veil which thins once autumnal rites fill groves of yew. Where the columned houses of emperors entombed are profuse in yew gums and cypress balm burning, I will seat me at the high table, raise a toast to Avernus which serves anew all who pass, as blind Homer peals to the lyre's string, Morpheus slumbers, dreams pooling in his cup, Virgil glances on each cupbearer in turn, too beauteous to court. The high vaulted ceiling rings in bright song, the floor's blush ruby below, fine wrought tables of cypress without blemish, as the dead winds rattle the leaves over Cumae. Wreathe my brow in branches of yew, with elderberry entwined. To the court of Proserpine and Pluto, the heights of Mary divine, into Avernus I dive, above, below, passing through form and flame. Who would not choose slumber unbroken, halting at Cumae? I'll close with this piece. I wrote this poem. I was sort of walking home yesterday, and it sort of like came to me. So I brought it here to you. So I'm premiering it tonight. Well, this is all like new work, but I only read this once to myself before tonight, so it's a little rough. A choir of daemons I saw, in shimmering mantle clad. There between the weeping groves where lindens limn the stream. Cuckoos among the branches tolled, and in the eastern sky, purpling in the eventide, Selene shone in full. Around the shoulders of one, tresses hung like Kythera in prime. Another which led the throng was crowned in burnished horns of bronze. Nigh exceeding the naiads in hours arranged, in supernal dance they swayed. All in a singular voice that like the 100-eyed plumage of Juno's bird gleam they called, or pearly-tiered phoenix in song, Tarry, tarry, omnia sol temperat, pudus et subtilis. Here is the ivory thigh wounded, exposed, 2 fists unfurling, petals strewn in blood. Those flaming bells bursting threatened to follow me all my days. In that fog of gold hanging low and soft grasses beckoning. Upwards again those vespers soared, tarried, tarried, into the azure drifting. Thank you.